Let me first thanks Program Director Mr. Stresha, and once more greet colleagues, MEC for Health and then MEC for Public Works, greet all the provincial government officials presently here, and greet the media houses that continues to feed the public with the programs of government and take them on board on what government is actually doing. We have been engaging in the recent past with the collaboration frameworks that we have entered into, headed of course by the Department of Health, which the MEC for Department of Health has actually alluded to. But what I can say is that the outbreaks that we have, the two of them which are major concerns for us, your Makaula and your Etembeni in Beckersdorp, has actually opened up the eyes of both the provincial and the national government on how to manage the COVID-19 related incidents. And as I'm standing here, I would want to, Program Director, to thank the multidisciplinary task team in the form of the rapid response team, because immediately when we were told by the district director and the principal of the affected school, they were there within a very short space of time, MEC Mamukomba. And that demonstrates the extent of dedication and commitment of the entire public service that we have in ensuring that we give more meaning to the service to the people of the Eastern Cape in particular, and the service to the people of this country in particular and in general. So that's why I'm then taking up my hats off for them to have been able to manage that outbreak, in particular in an environment that is a bit intoxicated, with a bit of ill discipline, if you like, social illnesses within the township where the school is, and a bit of suspicion of not complying of the taverns that are in that space. Because remember, education is a microcosm of the society. Anything that happens in the society, if you want to pick it, you can use education as a mirror to do that. So that's why we are always concerned when we see some element of lack of compliance in other sectors, so that we can be able not to burden the Department of Health on matters that we can be able to manage it and put it into unnecessarily pressure on matters that, by the way, should have not happened, by the way, should have been properly managed, and preserve the resources that we have as provincial government, in particular for the Department of Health, which is key for the livelihood of the people of this province. Again, Program Director, I would want to just to take into confidence this Augusto House that we have just received this outbreak when our core staff has been recalled back through the proclamation by the president of the lockdown. You would remember that lockdown level 1 means the entire public service must come back, and of course with those that are with comorbidities that must come back, but of course with an element of looking to case by case on how to resolve all of them, and in the process of ensuring that we maximize and optimize the human resource we have in executing the plans of government, and also speed up the acceleration of the service delivery to the people of this province. I can confirm that as from today, we can confirm the 98% of the teachers that has reported to our schools ever since we reopened back to our institutions of learning. And also that we can as well confirm we can confirm the 98% of the teachers that have reported back, and 84.5% of learners that have returned back ever since the reopening of the lockdown as made a proclamation by the president. But what is of utmost importance is to observe, because when I was in AM Zanzi on Friday last week, I can pick up MEC Ekomba that there are learners that have not yet returned back. But very few of them in the province. There are 154, in particular in grade 12. There is a variety of reasons that made them not to return back. Others have, because of the anxiety, their parents were having fears, and the other ones have got some sicknesses that actually made them not to come back. Others have got they are victims, let me put it that way. They are victims of the good work of the lockdown. Some they fall pregnant because of the lockdown period. So they are victims of the lockdown. Let me put it that way. So that's one area. But my duty is to analyze the impact of the COVID-19 in the attendance of learners and the attendance of teachers as the academic year is on the final stage. And I picked up a program director that, by the way, there is not that much significant negative effect in terms of the attendance of learners, because yesterday I was looking to the chief directorship of examinations and assessment. Whether did you not have some learners that, by the way, the system dropped them out in the previous academic years, where there was no COVID-19, and I picked up that plus minus 100 of them, they were there. So I'm saying we have been able to manage the negative effect of the COVID-19 as a province in the context of preparing our kids for the examinations and assessment for all grades. And I can attest that we have started the trial examinations. There are no questions, there are no qualms, there are no disputes, there are no reported ill discipline, no reported cases of misconduct either by teachers and also by learners. Because remember, this is a critical stage in education in the country. Because in terms of policy, once a learner is picked up in the context of misbehavior in an examination environment, that learner is barred from undergoing education in the country for a period of 3 years. So that's why we always school teachers and learners that make no mistake, leave out your behavior outside when you come into environment of examinations. Because once you are picked up, it means you will not be a student or a learner in this country for the next coming 3 years. It's not a negotiable matter. It's by policy. So for learners. But when you talk educators, once an educator is picked up, investigated that he has assisted learners in one way or another, that's Section 17 in terms of the Labor Relations Act in education, and therefore that's Section 17 means it's a dismissal offense. So that's why we always take them into confidence and also school them on what should be the line of march and deal with some of those aspects. The MEC for Health has actually alluded that at eThekwini we have been able to provide psychosocial services. Yesterday they have arrived. Students are undergoing counseling and teachers are undergoing counseling, and we are managing that space quite very well, and we are confident that we are going to emerge victorious out of that. What I can also brief you on this matter of eThekwini Senior Secondary School is that out of that figure, which is 102, if I'm not mistaken, of the ones that originally were picked up as positive, there were 3 kids that were a bit a worry for us, because 1, they are doing grade 12, 2, they are undergoing a trial examinations, 3, trial examinations constitute part of the assessment of the output of learners in this country. So any learner that has actually not undergone the trial examinations currently run a risk of failing examinations far before the examinations have been written in the country. Primarily because you are speaking of a 25% that learners must get into the examinations room having before from the summative assessment policy on education. So that's why we're a bit worried about these 3, not suggesting that the others are not important, because the others can still go and be assessed by various teachers from various grades that they belong to. We still have a period between now and December to deal with their own internal examinations assessment tool and be able to make them graduate from the various grades that they are. But these ones must undergo a national and international standard of examinations. So that's why I was a bit worried about them. But however, we have then applied to the DBE for exemptions for them, these 3, so that they can be given an alternative assessment tool, which is by law is accepted, so that they can be able to get an assignment of some of the points, if you like, or DP in the context of the universities and technical colleges in the tertiary institution. Those points can contribute in them being able to give a leverage for them to go and make an examinations and pass through that particular process. So we have finished that particular aspect. We don't have a challenge with them. The DBE is going to respond today to us, because we're doing it yesterday, but we are confident because it's something that is written black and white in terms of law as an intervention in the circumstances when a learner is unable to sit for an examination prior the final examinations. So we don't have that much of a challenge on that one. We are busy. We are busy, guys, ensuring that we reach out to our institutions of learning in the context of National School Feeding Scheme, which was a court order, because we don't have an option. Because you remember, previously we have been arguing that you can't be expected to go and feed kids while schools have been closed. Because in a way, we were going to undermine the lockdown regulations. Because in essence, you were saying, in essence, that debate at that time was suggesting that we must then ferry kids through scholar transport just to pick foods and go home. Yes, of course, we are dealing with destitutes in the country. We're dealing with vulnerable and marginalized communities. But in the context of Department of Health, that was going to have a negative bearing. Because in essence, you are saying whilst we are in lockdown 4. So we must then carry kids to schools and in the process infect each other, ultimately go back and then infect the communities. But however, the court have made a determination and say, no, continue to feed them. And fortunately then the president have opened it up for us to go back to school, so we don't have that much of a crisis now. So we are managing that space quite a bit carefully, so that we don't, and I repeat, we don't put unnecessarily pressure to the health system in the province and to the health system in the country. We have made a proviso for the substitution of educators and other personnel that is going to be needed. Because remember, Collective 1 of 2020 collective agreement says all those that have been deferred back home through the comorbidities must then be substituted by human resource so that the work of government can proceed. We've been doing that. Now we are on the transition because some of the other ones that are comorbidities, of course, are coming back now, and of course we've been replacing them with substitute. Then the human resource development and human resource management directorates are cleaning up the system now. Hence, last week we were able, Putloiso, to deal with the issue of the backlogs on the payments of people in the province through the task team that has been put in place on human resource management directorate. So that's how we can conclude, Program Director, by saying, from an infrastructure point of view, we have been having schools, 576 of them that have been vandalized. And I must say so here, COVID-19 has given us lessons that once you become laxy on any sector, you invite problems. Because whilst we were closing COVID on the other side, criminals open another gate on the other side. So you have to balance it up and see how best do you ensure that when these 576 schools have been vandalized in the province, how do you consistently improve and repair them? So out of that 576 now, 263 of them has been repaired, so that it's an ongoing program, and 236 of them are busy being fixed up, but the 263 of them has been finished up in terms of the repairs. That's how far I can go, Program Director. Thank you.